Hi everyone, and welcome to this time-lapse version of my soft pastel painting of the Grand Opera House in Belfast. A very tricky painting to work on, as you're about to see, and I hope that you enjoy seeing this speedy version, and if you do, then please do subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Also, consider checking me out over on Patreon if you'd like to learn all about the world of soft pastel and learn lots of my soft pastel techniques. But I hope that you enjoy seeing this come together. It was certainly one of the greatest challenges I have had to date in soft pastel, and you're about to see why. This is a commissioned piece, and as always, I love working on commissions as it quite often takes me out of my comfort zone. I do end up painting a lot of pet portraits, which I love, but then the odd time I'll get something bizarre like this to work on, something that I may not have chosen to paint myself, but a commission sometimes really puts me out of my comfort zone and makes me challenge myself with something different. And that was certainly the case with this piece. So when I was first asked to paint the building, I went to look online for photo reference, and I couldn't really find an image that jumped out at me that I wanted to paint. So this is a mixture of several different images put together. The main image that I worked from of the building really captured the evening lighting. I then got a photographer friend to go and photograph the building actually last year during lockdown, so that there were less posters and things obscuring the actual architecture, as sometimes there are a lot of posters on particular parts of the building. And then I also used one of my own sunsets to really add some drama and some evening light to the overall scene. So pieced together from several photos, also different photos trying to simplify the foreground, which you'll see in just a bit. But when I first started working on the building, I found it so difficult. I work mostly in soft pastel, which is quite a blunt medium and difficult to get smaller details. But of course, when you break the soft pastels down into smaller pieces, then you can find those sharper edges. And between that and the pastel pencils, which you can also see me using, it's quite possible to get really small details like this. So the first couple of days of filming, I really had to just switch the camera off for a while and get going on the building itself. Sometimes when the camera's rolling, it gets in my way, and the tripod can sometimes be where I want to be while I'm painting. So I did take a day at the beginning of this and just paint to get into the flow of it. But from here on out, you're going to see absolutely every mark that I made on the building, and just how I had to break it down into bite size really, and focus on one small area each day I came to work. And that's my biggest tip if you're painting something that seems impossibly complicated, something that's going to take a long time to get through, as this type of painting is as much about the mental battle as it is about the pastel skills required to actually paint it. It's as much about motivating yourself to come back to it each day and know that you'll only get a small portion of it done that day. There's just no rushing this type of project. So I would set myself a little challenge each day that was attainable. This area that I'm working on at the moment, I really wanted to get those 3 round windows in the center of that part of the building. I set myself a challenge to get those 3 windows and the surrounding areas done one day, as each one is really complicated and took quite a while. So just by setting myself small goals that were attainable each day, I managed to chip away at this painting over the space of about 2 weeks or so in total. But it also took me a week or so just to sketch this out. And it also has taken me many months before that, playing about with photo references and coming up with this layout to begin with. So many hours, weeks and months of work have gone into this one painting. So possibly my favourite area of the building, this little glass pavilion in an Art Deco style. And this is one of the parts that are often covered over in posters. So thanks to my photographer friend for going last year and taking some photos when the city was nice and quiet and when there were no shows on in the Opera House at that time. So there were no posters covering over this beautiful piece of architecture. But the thing that I really wanted to capture in this building was the sense of anticipation for a show that's about to open. And although it's just the outside of the building, what I loved about this image was all the little lights that you could see glowing inside. I wanted to give a feel of just coming to the nighttime, early evening, when the lights are all starting to twinkle inside the building. And you can sense that even though the outside of the building is so calm and quiet, that it's all action inside, getting ready for the big show. There are also other buildings which surround the Opera House. If you know this area of Belfast, you'll know that there are some taller buildings to the left and to the right. I decided to omit those and have us just focus on this beautiful piece of architecture, really giving it center stage. And I darkened down to each side of the building just to give again that feeling of being in the wings off stage, in the darkness, just waiting to come on center stage. So to me, the building really deserved to be center stage. So you can see just each little section as I work on it. I've really had to analyse each and every little square inch because there are so many little lights and lamps on the facade of the building. And each one of those cast light in different directions, lighting up a little alcove here and there, casting light and shade on each little windowsill. So the key really was to just focus on one small area at a time. And I did make life a little bit difficult for myself, as someone already spotted in one of my progress pictures. Because I'm right-handed, you can see that I'm awkwardly kind of leaning on what I've done here instead of working from left to right like I normally do. But it really was just about me choosing my favourite sections of the painting, and because I spent so many days on this, I would come to it at the beginning of the day and just choose the part that I wanted to work on. So it just happened to be that right side of the building that really drew my attention first, and I decided that it was worth the compromise to awkwardly have to watch that I didn't smudge what I'd already worked on. So it wasn't ideal, but sometimes those are the things that I have to do just to mentally get through a painting. Just gifting myself on any particular day with the area that I really fancied working on. So you can see it's about an equal mix probably of the soft pastel sticks and then coming in with the pastel pencils just to more or less shape the soft pigment into place. So every colour that I'm putting down is initially done with the softer sticks. And then if I need to neaten the edges or shape it into place, either a blender or the pastel pencils were what I used. But there's really no comparison to the strength of pigment and vibrancy of the colours that you get from the soft sticks, and that's why I love them. And I hope that this painting proves to many people just what is possible with the soft sticks. You really can achieve a high level of detail with them, and you don't have to rely on the sharp points of pastel pencils. And that's what I love to teach over on my Patreon channel. If you haven't already checked that out, then please do if you're interested in learning how to both loosen up a little bit with the soft sticks, but also how to achieve high levels of detail with the soft sticks, as that's what I love to use them for. And this month I've literally just released my new website Patreon library, where you can go and have a good browse at all of the tutorials that I have available. So that's brand new on my website, emmacolbertart.com. And if you've been tempted or interested in having a look at my Patreon channel, then that's really the place to go to have a look at the full library and see if there is something there that you would like to sign up for. So I was very glad to reach this part of the building. It really was a marathon task, this painting, but very, very satisfying to work through and to get each little section done and finally see the whole piece come together. And I hope that you've enjoyed seeing it come together here in Timelapse, and I hope that you'll subscribe here on YouTube and also consider checking me out on Patreon if you'd like to learn more. But thanks very much for watching, and until next time, happy pasteling.